Welcome to Dandy DIY Channel. Today we are going to be making corn maze opening for the candy corn featuring Dollar Tree's little truck, the pumpkin, and the wooden sticks. You'll be pleased and amazed at some of the tips and tricks we're going to use in order to put this together. This sign can be freestanding, or you can display it by hanging it on the wall or the door. You'll enjoy this DIY spotlight on a creator inspiration piece. So come on, let's get started. It's a simply cute fall DIY candy corn truck, and this is definitely a creator inspired little project. You're going to need some fabric to do your candy corn, such as yellow, orange, and white or off-white. I'm going to be using the colors black and patina to do my truck. I'm going to do a chippy technique, so follow along, and we'll be using a paste and try it out with some texturizing paste to get the chippy look that we desire. So let's get started on our cute, adorable little candy corn truck for fall. I purchased this pressboard little truck at Dollar Tree, so you'll be able to find these real easy. I want to put a base coat of black onto my truck first. For the first part of my chippy technique, I am going to use a little bit of wax before I put on any of the texturizer. You can just put it in various places. You don't have to be specific. It depends on how chippy you want it. That wax just keeps the paint from hitting the other paint and sticking. So now that we've got that part done, I'm going to use some texturizing paste. And this is the light and fluffy molding paste. You can use it for this texturizing to do the chippy part. So basically wherever it gets, it's going to stay once it dries. I'm actually going to use such a small amount that's just coming off of the lid, because it won't need that much for this little truck. It's just so small, you just won't need it. But this layers up real good, so just put it where you want it to be real chippy. Fender, the hood. So first I'm going to put a layer of the white chalk paint. And as you can see, these dry real fast. The texturizing, it only takes a moment. And then you can go right behind it and put your next paint coat. So first I'm going to put my white coat on there. You don't have to be thick. You just want to get it on there. You see how it's separating where the texturizing plaster was put? All those different spots. And now while the white is still kind of wet, I'm going to hit it with my patine color. See how those little places will start just chipping. Now we'll give it a minute and we'll do the next step. Patine paint is dried. I have my putty knife, and you can just take and scrape across that because the wax that you put on there, but be careful because this is pressed board and you could potentially scar it like that right there. But remember what I told you about the plaster or the texture paste that was put on there. And see, it will knock those little places off where you put it and give it this whole wonderful chippy look. Basically, I'm just scraping the little plaster paste that was put on there. It's just awesome how good it looks. And without a whole lot of work. Once I push those through there, it's just about all of them. And you'll get your places. This is where the wax is. You can see where the wax is on there. I just love it. It just looks fantastic. So now all I have to do is take my sander and brush over the waxed area here to finish it up. Now I've done some more sanding and smoothing off, and just to really show you how wonderfully chippy my truck looks. And of course I've done the gate and the railing back here. It looks fantastic. So it really truly works great to use the light and fluffy molding paste and get that ease chippy look, and it'll just hit in all the spots that you put it, and it just is wonderful. So try it out. I'll put a link for that paste in the description box down below. To make our corn candy, you're going to need white, orange, and yellow. And I've decided I'm going to use my burlap since I have that plentiful. And I'm going to use my tea-dyed yellow fabric that I got from Dollar Tree. I have this old scrap piece that I got from Dollar General a couple years back. And I'm going to use that to fasten my fabrics to make the candy corn. In order for this to be the length that I need, I know that it's got to accommodate this 2.5 inch wide. This one is 1 inch wide, and I want my yellow to be the size of the orange. So I'm going to take and snip it and tear it at the same width as this orange and get me a start that will have that nice tattered look. It's going to match up just fine, and it's going to be enough to make the two that I need. As far as the width of the truck versus the two candy, if it were around 3 inches wide, if it's any wider, it might be too broad to show up back here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to use my hot glue gun, glue my strips directly onto this piece, wanting it to be appearing to peek out from up there. If this top piece is shorter, that's fine, because that's got to be trimmed off. So I'm going to go right here and cut 2 pieces off of this, because I'm going to be making 2 candy corns. Now, since this is running backwards, we want to leave this up a little bit so we can tuck the orange in there first. That way it looks like something that would be quilted. So we just want a small bead. Make sure you spread out that glue. Put our orange under here. Do a second one, and I'm just going to cut this difference off right here. Now I've got these 2 made. I have not cut them into the shape, but I've trimmed off the sides, and you'll need a couple of sticks. I prefer these because 1, they're flat, and number 2, they go down long enough that we'll have this extra here to buckle to the back of our little truck, and this will hold and support this fabric, which is pretty stiff. I mean, with the hot melt glue, it makes it, more firm, just like a stabilizer, and almost like a quilted piece. The original inspiration piece was quilted, so that way you'll glue back here and have that extra hanging down. So we'll shape these momentarily. We've got some other stuff to do yet, but these come from the Dollar Tree, and these are the craft sticks. These are the more narrow, medium size versus the jumbo. And they work perfect. They just that right amount of thickness that you need for this particular task. Alright, I'm going to flip these over to the back side, and then that way I can just do my small little dome to make it look like candy corn. Remember, it's going to be kind of narrow at the top. Think of a popsicle. That's the way I like to think of it. So I've got this side pretty much like I think it will be. Now, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? Not too bad for a freehand. Now I can do this one the same way. Look at that. That looks pretty sweet. And I have these beads right here. And I'm going to spell out sweet candy in these and put that with the candy corn. And now that I've got all the letters picked out, there's just nothing like a little hint of red in anything that's harvest. I don't know what it is, but it's just that little touch of red So I grabbed me a red button. I remembered that bright red button in my little bucket of buttons. And I have a little orange one in here that I just think will just look fantastic. See that little yellow orange button? And I'm going to make it as though that's kind of holding the banner. And I'm going to string these on to some jute twine. And I've also got some lace. Now, the inspirational piece has some lace on it. The all-white looks so close to the white burlap that I believe I'm going to go with the bright white because we're going to age this up a little bit. First, I want to string these so that they don't get lost or tumbled around in here. My corn candy strung on the jute twine, and I have the sweet on this one. I'm going to get those out of the way, and those are the buttons that goes with it. Now we have the candy corn, and I'm going to age it up a little bit with some coffee crunch. And I can speed dry it with the hot air gun. And this lace, this little bit of lace, I'm going to try to age it with some of the coffee grunge. And I want to see if this lace is really going to be suiting me. And I believe she had hers running like that on there, on the candy corn. And then, with that going, flowing like that, let's see how this looks. I'm just staging right now to kind of get an idea. Yes, I think that will look grand. So I'm going to cut a piece of this lace, cut another piece the same size for the other one, spray my coffee grunge on these, and just give them that little bit of aging. Now we know my fabric's already been tea stained, but it don't hurt to have a little bit more. So our next move here is to go ahead and fasten the stick to the back of these. Now that they're kind of dry, they are dry and we've staged them. So now I know where I want to put them. And you want to take it up to where you have at least somewhere around an inch or so hanging off the bottom here that's got to be fastened to the backside of the truck. We can attach our other pieces. So the way I want to do this one is I'm going to put this lace there. It's just a sweetness to it. I have that little touch of lace, so just literally a touch of glue, pretty much it. That way the legs, when it touches here, let it flow. And then the sweet little red button, oh my goodness, oh, just a little touch, just so adorable. And then the way that the corn candy is going to go across here is I'm letting it flow. I put a knot there so mine doesn't slide, and I gave myself a whole lot of jute twine just to make sure. So I like it up higher. I really do. I like it up higher. But I think this will be pretty much a good spot to put it. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue there. I can trim that jute twine off and lessen the length of it after I get it in place where I want it to stay. So I have that running there. Definitely want it to look like the banner. It's going to be just right there. Run that jute twine in the back. It'll help that to stay. Just has that little bit of looseness to it. Looks good though. Trim off the difference. So I'm going to do this one pretty much the same way. I might put it up a little bit higher on the lace. And then I'm going to put the button there. And then, of course, the little banner of the sweet. And just run it kind of, maybe I'll make it go the opposite way. I think that'd look cuter, making it go the opposite way. So I'm going to go right here and put that jute twine, just a dab of dia. And that way it has this little sway going to it. And I'll run it kind of across and over here. If I need to, I can put a spot here to keep my jute twine curved so it won't be unruly. And I can put some right here to make that stay at the top. And then over here, I think I'll just put it under this knot that I've got on the G-twine, so it'll kind of have that flow going there, like that, like it reaching up high like that. And now I'm just going to put that G-twine back here as I did the others. Get that anchored into place. Now we can just cut off any of the X. Everything looks so cute. Now those just look plumb adorable. Look at that. So sweet. Sweet candy corn. Now we've got this part done. And now we can work on our truck. So I'm going to use this pumpkin sign from Dollar Tree. And we are going to paint this because I want to use this as my backboard for the truck and the candies. So at this point, we've gotten the truck definitely is painted. I may age it. I've been testing it a little bit. I've got the candy corn made. So now I want to make this pumpkin suitable. And I'm going to use the moss green from Waverly chalk paints. I need to heat this up and get this metal grateful off. And then I can paint it. Now I have the grateful off and I can paint this side. I can also paint the back side. But my thinking is if someone were to purchase this, it really needs to have a smooth backside or I need to paint both sides. So I'm going to try painting this front side and that will kind of camouflage where the grateful was and cover up that glue. I'll sand it a little bit just so it's not risen even though it won't be shown. So I've taken that grateful off and I thought about painting this side, but I think I want the stem of the pumpkin going that way. So I'm going to paint this side and I'll cover this with probably craft paper to make it look more professional and finished. So that moss green from Waverly chalk paint is what I'm going to see how well it will match the truck and the corn candy. And I can always lighten this or deepen it, whichever the case may be, in order to get it to suit what I'm going for. So I painted my pumpkin, I put my stem back, now I need to put my lines, and I think I'm going to try this dirty brush, and then again I may have to go back with something more green, so we'll try it out and we'll see. Let me just make sure where my lines are going. They're going towards this knob here, so let me just bring it about towards that one. And then this one is coming here. Remember, it's just the illusion thereof. Okay, we have this one coming deep to this corner. So it's coming out the side of the stem around here. And then, of course, this one's coming out of the stem to this knob. Alright, so that looks pretty good. I just need to deepen those and kind of give them a little bit of shading. And then I will probably go around the edge here a little bit. Just some brushing. Just to deepen the area, even though it won't be seen because the truck's going to be in front of it. But if you were to disassemble it, you would have a finished piece of the pumpkin and you might just want to use it. So it's always nice if you can go ahead and finish it out as though it were a piece of its own. So I tried out some white wax on here, and I think I'm going to actually put some wax on it to give it a little bit of lightness. And I have some other things up my sleeve too, so it's going to take just a smallest amount. I'm going to use my wax brushes. You can find these in the link below. These are really good. I've had these about 5 years and they are the best. And they really truly are effective and they have been just great. I've loved them. They've really been awesome. You might want to try this set out. They're very affordable. Just hardly cost anything in comparison to the others. They are a mini set, so they fit just right for these type of applications. They're not too bulky or large and definitely not difficult to deal with at all. Take just the sparse amount. This is a more concentrated, but no one's going to see it because well, all the pieces will be parked in front of it. But remember what I was saying, go ahead and finish it as though it is a piece of its own, so that if you ever disassemble it, you will be able to use it just like it is. And then that way it's a finished piece. And this will lighten the pumpkin up a little bit with that whiteness and give it that vintagey look. Pumpkin is looking fantastic, and the wax is dry, and it will give it that nice matte sheen, so it makes it cleanable. Now I want to cover this back with some craft paper, and I'm just going to probably Mod Podge that on there and let it dry and give it a more professional look. So now I've got that Mod Podge on there, and I'm just taking some craft paper and placing it on the back and letting that lie down. I'm not worried about it. I'll apply my iron to it, a pressing iron, and that'll get those wrinkles out and ensure that it is definitely sealed to it. Just give it a few minutes to stick there, and then all of this can be heated with the iron and pressed right out. It'll look just as smooth as it can be, and it will be permanent. So I'm going to give that a few minutes to dry, then I'll be back to press it. So I've got my pressing iron heated up here, and I've just got it on the first temp, and I just basically run it across there, and as you can see, these wrinkles, they just push right out, and it just seals it straight to that board permanently. And it only takes that little bit of heat. So you see these wrinkles? See how they just move right out? No problem. Then you don't have to stress about wrinkles and rolls in your paper and overthink it too much. And that heat against that Mod Podge, it just takes those wrinkles right out, seals that sheet right to the back of that board. I'll just go around the corners here, the edges, to make sure you've got a tight seal. Some of them look a little lifted, and so I might have to make sure they got some Mod Podge on that. The felt wool mat that I've got under here, it is heat resistant, and it gives a large surface. It's actually very big. It's actually like 15 by 24 inches, and it is awesome. I'll put a link to this in the description box down below if you don't have one already. Quilters use this because when you iron your fabric on it, it heats underneath and where you're placing the iron, so you don't have to flip your fabric over and iron the other side. It actually will heat right through it, and the wool felt has a way of helping the fibers to heat up on the underside. So this is a great tool to have, and it protects your surface, especially for applications like this where that heat will actually warp your cutting board. And I use a cutting board or any kind of vinyl or plastic boarding you have underneath. Even if it's wood, it can cause your staining to rise and damage your table. So just a FYI, this is a good tool to have. And I'll take my sander and go around the edges to get the paper off, and that just cuts it just so smoothly, and it comes right off without any work involved. So now we have our back professionally covered. It looks just like nothing was ever there. It's amazing, isn't it? Now we can begin assembling our pumpkin and truck. So let me show you what we've got so far. We have our truck, and we have our corn candy that's going to go back here. We're going to raise this truck up. So I'm going to just pose everything to kind of give you an idea, because these will be offset. We'll have the truck going here, and check out the video that will be posted on how to make these sunflowers. They're actually made out of fabric and packing paper. And as you can see, they look pretty good. Also a spring crow, and we made the crow as well. And it has the little sunflower sign. So check this out. If we put this here and we have our truck risen up, certainly hope that you're liking that so far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece of this styrofoam and buckle it to the back of the truck. And I've got my moss here, and with the Spanish moss, I actually coffee stained some of it in a previous video, and I have plenty of that left over that I can do this application as well. So I'm thinking at least 1/2 inch of this styrofoam block. I won't be using the whole length or the whole depth of it, I don't think, because it would be too much. But I'm definitely going to do at least a 1/2 inch cut, and then that way I can cut it down again if I need to. I think the idea here would be to just get that going first, and then I'll be able to better tell what I need and what I don't need from it. So I've got that part. I know that if it is there, that's going to be too deep, so probably about half that width there. I'm going to take off a small amount in the front here, so that looks about right. And if that is attached back here, just above, and it's right about where it needs to be. Now this will also attach to the pumpkin, and then the corn candy will go in here, and we'll put some moss in there as well. The idea is to get this set just right on the pumpkin. Pray that our aim is really good. So I'm going to buckle it to the truck first, then I can better aim. And I think I'm going to use my tight bond on this along with some hot melt glue, just so that if it tries to melt my foam here, I'll have better tack with this tight bond. And you could use Elmer's glue or wood glue. Either one of them I think would be fantastic, but I just need to have some assurance that that's going to be okay. If you have a low temp glue gun, that would be preferable in this application. And it doesn't take long for that tight bond to hold to it. It's just fantastic stuff. But I know I'm going to be putting some pressure on that when I put the corn candy in it. I've got some on there now. And that's the thing, is this hot melt will try to go through your styrofoam, and so sometimes you don't get tack. Try and get it down real quick, and then that'll allow the tight bond time to dry and seal up there. And then pose this right where I need it. I think that's looking pretty good right there. I just need to make sure it's good and straight. And I'm going to have to put something here, so I'm probably going to take the styrofoam, cut me a piece or two, and stick it back there so that it is the depth of this piece, and use that as my anchor to help me make sure that they're all buckled. So that should be about right. Just in case no one has a desk vac, I recommend this one. This is my Rosie after the Jetsons made Rosie. This thing is so handy, and it just gets that styrofoam and moss and whatever else I can drag out. Glitter, gets it all. It's just awesome. Definitely get you a desk vac if you don't have one. I'll put a link below for this one. So this next part, we've got to make sure our aim is right. So I've got my pumpkin straight. I've got my truck staged about where I want it. And we got to move swiftly. So once again, I'm going to put a little bit of tight bond onto the styrofoam before I put hot melt on there. And that way it'll have time to make contact. Now I've got the pumpkin sitting here with the truck so that it will sit up on its own independently. And being that this particular pumpkin has a center bump, and these are not like exactly even, it sits more predominantly on the center one. Now right now it's fine, and I put glue insurance in there, but just a FYI that if you use this pumpkin, that bump is in the center. It is a little bit taller than the others, and maybe you might get one that it's cut even, but that's what's ended up happening. Nonetheless, just put a little extra glue back there, and you may find that they're kind of standing up down at the bottom. And then I'll put some more glue back here just to give some insurance to that styrofoam and make sure that tight bond is in there, because the hot melts the styrofoam. Or use a low temp glue gun. So now that everything's good and dry, it's time to get the corn candies put in, and hopefully I can push against the styrofoam and protect it and keep it from going anywhere, because I want to offset these corn candies into the back of the truck. So I'm going to put the first one in, and they may go all the way through, which is what happened with that one. That's okay. I'm just going to pull it up and get it situated, because I don't want that showing in the bottom. And then the next one will go back here in the rear, and I may just put it at an angle as well. Just slide them back up when they poke out the bottom, because once everything is glued, they're going to look great. It's just toting that, looking pretty good. I will definitely give you closer pictures of this. I'm sure you can see it a little bit, but it looks so good standing up. And as you can see, when you're setting it up, it's balanced right now. Okay, I'm going to work my Spanish moss down in there. I'm sorry I'm not able to show you, but you'll see the finish once I get it down in there. And I may not even need to put any glue. So see how that's looking already? It just looks really, really neat. And it just, the Spanish moss kind of sticks together, as long as you don't pull it out too much. Corn candy looking good. Everything's just looking so spiffy. Now I'm going to take a piece of burlap, glue it onto this styrofoam in front just to camouflage it, because I don't want that glaring if you were to have it sitting about. Now if it's hanging up, it's probably not going to be noticed at all. It depends on how you display your pumpkin truck fall decor. And that's just enough to camouflage it. And I may have to put a little piece on this side of the styrofoam in here, just in case. I don't think it'll be that big a problem. And I don't want to have to paint it and take a chance on messing up my sign, being that I've already got it in place. So I am literally going to put some burlap across here on this styrofoam to cover that up. Now I'm going to take my black magic marker and I'm going to put Morgan Farms here on the door panel per se. And I want to put some kind of banner right here about pumpkins. Okay, that looks pretty good so far. I'll let that dry a little bit and then I'll tone it down. So let's make a banner for the side here. Now I'm going to take my roll of muslin that I keep, and if you ever want to do this, just take and cut it into a strip about 4 inches wide and roll it up, and then that way you have it. So I just need the smallest width going right there, or it will be just about too wide. So hopefully I will hit this just right and tear that so that it has that banner torn sign look, that worn out canvas look. Maybe a sign they've used over and over the years. I like that. That looks pretty snazzy. Now I have my distress ink. This one's brand new to me. It is called Rusty Hinge of the Tim Holtz. I'll put a link to it in the description box. And a FYI, if you're using your acrylic block from Dollar Tree and you have your small silicone letters, something this long like pumpkins having 8 letters in it, put it at an angle and that way it'll fit, especially with small letters. I don't know if anyone's had that issue, but I'm just going to center this and I'm going to eyeball it. And of course, you know, I need to some ink on it here. And this being a brand new ink pad, and see how well this rusty hinge shows up to be orange per se. Don't that look good? Fantastic. That's a winner right there. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And I do like that color of the rusty hinge. That's probably going to be a newfound favorite for me. And I can put it right there. Doesn't that just look awesome? And I will take and run some G twine in there. But what I'm going to do as a little extra is, like put a hole there and run it through. So I'm going to use my awl. And if you haven't bought the awl at Dollar Tree, these suckers are sharp and they work great. So I'm going to actually utilize the hole that's already in this sign, pierce that hole through that fabric. That way I don't rip the fabric, and do the other side as well. Try to hit that as best I can. Just center it. And then that way I can run my G twine through those holes right there. And I always keep my pins, like these are tapestry pins. These are the Dres. You can pick these up at Walmart, Hobby Lobby, different places, or order them online. And that way, stringing that G twine through that little hole right there is going to be a breeze to do, because it's just a matter of pulling it through right here on the little post, just like you would if you had a pickup truck with a sign. Run it through there twice before you pull it, and that way it'll kind of hold for you without pulling back on your. That is just looking so stinking cute. Okay, now to put on our sunflower, and I'm going to have to cut my stick off. I also have some cheesecloth and some little pieces of homespun, and I'm going to tie them on to my sunflower, I think. It just needs something. I think that would just look so cute and give it just that little dash of color to knock off some of the bland. So I'm just going to take my needle nose pliers and trim off my stick here. I'll take care of that. And then with this little bits of fabric and stuff, I'm going to just take and just tie them and slide them up there until I get them where I think they should be. I may have to just tie these together and then anchor them to my sunflower. I'm going to try this and see how it goes. Just nothing like homespun to really cheer something up when it's primitive looking and give it that little bit of something. Do better if I move that stuff out of my way. This, I might have to make it a little thinner. It's awful thick. Put it angled like that. That way it looks like a messy bow. Cinch it up. Oh, look at that. That just done so good. Alright, let's get this thing on our pumpkin here. Let's push that up a little bit. And I can glue it right there and put a little on the stick. Now, I've got the sunflower glued into place. We have some fabric on there, and I took a black magic marker and traced out the pumpkin stem. And she looks fantastic. I'll definitely get you some closer pictures. If you would rather purchase than to make, please check out the website. I'll flash it up here, DandyLionSoap.com, and you will find things there, things that I've made here on the channel. And if you would prefer to just purchase it versus making it, give me your business. I really appreciate it. After all, we're working on these together. So make sure you share this with a friend. Leave comments and suggestions on some things you would like to see here on the channel. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. We have a great DIY team. You all are contributors and part of the team. You're part of what makes it happen, and you teach me as well. This is Elizabeth. Till the next DIY, I'll be crafting, y'all.